I'm Stuart Hamilton. I'm based in the UK, and currently I am chair of the Water Loss Specialist Group. Today I'm just going to be talking about what's happening around the world to do with NRW and how certain countries are coping with the pandemic. First of all, let's start in the UK, is where I'm based. The UK, basically all non-essential staff are working from home. This is where they're all being sent to work, where they can log on for remote activities, such as looking at flows, pressure data, flow data, and anything they need to look at which comes through the internet. We have currently probably about 2,000 technicians working in the UK on a daily basis. Most of these are contractors. And because of we class leakage as a very high issue in the UK, these people are still currently working. And they work as a sole person in a van. So it's individual there. They have all the equipment. And to spread the issues of meeting in the offices, we actually changed all their shift patterns. And all their leaks are transmitted back and forth, flow data is transmitted back and forth using the internet. So there's very little meetings of people. Then if we go on to Portugal have done much the same. They've followed their guidelines from their health department, and all non-essential staff are again working from home, but they are letting their NRW teams on their NRW departments to carry out general emergency type work. So meters that go down, pressure reducing valves that falter, telemetry systems that are affected, they can go out and look at. And at the same time, if they have any leakage or any high problems of high usage, high demand, they can go out and at the same time look at that loss or that situation, and then they can call out the emergency teams to come and fix the problem. Australia, much the same. Data is transmitted to the technicians all working from home on a daily basis, and that data is sent to them with GIS plans, information that comes into them on emergency work, and it lets them continue all the work and continue doing what they're going to do from the home basis. And as emergencies come through, they can go out there and solve these emergency problems. China, very little change in China for the people. They've always worked out in emergency fields, and they still continue to work the same. The benefit they have in China is when they're working in the Beijings, the Shanghais, and all the major cities, is because they were very populated with vehicles and people. This pandemic, with the streets being empty and locked down, is enabling all these people to stay indoors and allows the leakage technicians to be able to go out there and find leaks and solve problems that they wouldn't necessarily solve. They wouldn't necessarily be able to fix because of the people being about. So they've actually benefited quite well out of this, where they can get to go into areas and locate valves and do problems where they wouldn't normally get to. Now, the Philippines, water engineers are not essential workers. So they're not allowed out. They have to stay indoors. They don't do anything. If PRVs or pressure valves or DMAs or burst mains occur, they are left to continue to run. They're spending time doing reports and planning and seeing what they can do to solve the problem in the future, but they are not classed as emergency personnel. So it's a bit of an issue there. Some of the projects in the Philippines are performance-related pay. So these people, these contractors, are having to leave their areas which they've spent 6 months, 12 months reducing, and just watch the levels rise again, and there's nothing they can do. They are considering going looking for compensation of some sort from the water company, but that is something for the future. Saudi Arabia, we know Saudi Arabia would be very strict on their curfew, and on their curfew they have put in place definitely from 3 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day. Now, in Saudi Arabia, they do have intermittent supplies, so it's not so critical to them to be not working at these times. But during the areas where they are putting water out, they are looking at consumption patterns so they can understand just some areas, what's happening during this pandemic. And they're looking to share that data as well with all of us, which is great. Greece, water considers essential. So in reality, nothing has changed. They're working the same, they're in the field the same. They continue to do all the operations. And like everybody, they're always doing social distancing. They never change from social distancing. Malaysia, same as the Philippines, non-essential work. Stay at home, leave the leaks running. Do not go out unless it's an absolute emergency burst. Nobody is doing anything within the NRW field, leaving the whole situation to be recovered when they go back out, which in fact was yesterday. They could start to move again. But in the joining countries of Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, and I believe Singapore, they could go out. So you can see how some countries treat it differently to others for what they're going to do. But when we look at all of this, what's the most common? What do we have in common? The common is they all social distance and work safe. Most people work alone. But what we can do now, which we couldn't do 10 years ago, is communicate remotely via cloud, internet, laptop, webinar, PCs, communications, telephones, Zoom, YouTube. This has enabled us to change the way we work today, and potentially we should look at what we've benefited from this situation to look at in the future, because we've not, some areas are doing very well working from home. So we need to look at these and learn from the experience and get the benefits. So let's look at what else has been impacted in the world and the Caribbean. Many countries are giving grants, loans, hard cash to what we could now call furloughed staff. In the UK, we give 80% of the salary up to the first £2,500 per month. So that means if you earn £2,500 per month, $3,000 US, the government will give you 80% of that money to the person. In the USA, if you earn less than $75,000 US a year, you will get a check, and you have received a check for $1,200 US. This apparently is free money to the individuals, and the companies in certain circumstances do not have to pay this money back. Now, what's happening in the Caribbean, Africa, Asia, South America? Are you being given money? Has money been donated to you? So this is what I don't know. But if you've not been given money, how are you going to pay bills? How would you pay your water bills? How would you pay your electricity bills? Now, scenarios are the water electricity companies cannot disconnect supplies during the pandemic. And even in some circumstances, we're reconnecting supplies that have been previously disconnected for bad payment. So this is something to think about. Now, if we just quickly look at your income in the Caribbean, oil, petrochemical, gas. Oil price has plummeted. No money in oil anymore. The Middle East are stopping or trying to prevent any capital works of infrastructure in any of the utilities being paid for by the government. They are now looking for private investors to complete any of these works. So that's what's happening there. And in your countries as well, in the Caribbean, oil, petrochemicals, gas, not much money there. Minerals, agriculture. They can move between islands, possibly, for agriculture, but not a lot being exported. Hotels, cruise liners, tourism, your major impact, all been stopped. And it's all been stopped now for 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So now let's look at what happens there then. Now what's going to happen? Meter readings can be done if AMR is introduced. And AMI is a superb thing to do. And we must promote this everywhere in the world because it's the carrier it can do is fantastic. The ability to move data is great from the field to the office. But does this mean they will pay the bills? Probably not. They're getting no money. They don't have money. Food comes first, water comes second or third or fourth. Desalination plants, they're still pumping water. They want payment. They need 100% payment. They cannot afford to slow down on payment or give some sort of benefit back to the water company. They want that money. So now, how does this affect the water company revenue? If you're in debt as a company, does this lack of funds that will come to you from your customers put you further into debt? That's one question. Another question is, can the government subsidise you in 2021, 2020, 2022, and forth because they have no revenues from taxes, they have no tourist tax being paid, they have no hotel taxes being paid, and the governments are really being hurt to the extent the US are going to look at a 6% economy downturn in this year. If we're looking at Europe, 7% downturn, and if we look at Japan, a 5% downturn. If we look at Europe, $1.5 to $2 trillion is expected to be required to loan the countries to get out the mess. And in the US, they're saying several $1 trillion. So, as a water company, what you got? Does this mean you can stop a rehabilitation program? Now, if you stop rehabilitation program, do we go to an intermittent supply regime? Do we go backwards? Do we reduce NRW by going backwards? No, we don't. We have to keep going forward. We have to go forward because we can make the company vulnerable to the next COVID, to the next pandemic. Now, never before in our lifetimes have we ever seen a pandemic anywhere in the world such as this. Are we going to see another one? I don't know. But we do need to use this to prepare ourselves. And we prepare ourselves through water, through NRW reduction, and all the other elements within the water company. So this isn't just the Caribbean, this is worldwide. This is what we look at in the Water Loss Specialist Group as a worldwide issue. So what are the solutions? Now it's time to start to think outside the box. No longer what was the norm is the norm to go forward. We need to be thinking outside the box of what is different. How can we get somewhere? A PPP, is that the answer? Some sort of hybrid agreement of a PPP. Some different format of funding, which I don't know about. It's there. Performance-based contract. Fantastic, move forward, brilliant, work very well. But do you need to use your money or just use private finance? Outsource all the NRW type work. Outsource your rehabilitation. Where you cannot afford to do it internally because you do not have the money or the funding available. Like concessions, the dirty word concessions in many countries. But you know, this may now be the time. It may be the time to start to think, how can I solve my water company problems? Does it mean I have to go to a concession? But put things in there such as, we can buy the concession back in 5 years' time. We have first options available. You can put many things in, but look to the future, look to the forward, because we can't stand still. We cannot move backwards. We have done so much work to get the worldwide NRW to such a good level. We need a long way to go, but we cannot stop. And we as the Water Loss Specialist Group, push to get it going. Now we're going to have some accelerated stimulus of some sort. Let's award projects. Let's get out there and give projects to people. Let's find an alternative way of funding them. But you know what the biggest problem? Stop the bureaucracy. Don't wait 2 years to give an award and then find a reason why you can't give it. The solution isn't going to come by waiting 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to give an award. If you're going to do it, getting there, do it, be brave, be smart, be educated, but main thing is you've got to move forward, because around the world we are not going to solve this water shortage problem or intermittent supply problem or NRW problem if we sit back and just wait. And that's me finished. I thank you for your time, and over to Wayne. So thank you very much indeed.